A target letter is one of the last things that the prosecutors send. So they basically send a letter to the potential defendant's lawyer, potential because he hasn't been indicted yet, saying we're just about completed our investigation and we plan to ask the grand jury to indict your client. Is there anything you want to tell us that would bear upon this? And does your client want to appear before the grand jury? This comes at the very end. That is probably what provoked the meeting yesterday between the former president's three leading lawyers on this case and Jack Smith himself, we now learned, that's the special counsel appointed by Attorney General Merrick Garland, at which the lawyers will say, here's why we think you should not indict my client. Now, you're quite correct to call this a Hail Mary. This rarely works, but Department of Justice regulations require that prosecutors give the defendant one last chance to talk them out of asking the grand jury for an indictment. That's probably what happened yesterday.
So a lot of people think this case is about classified documents, right? Classified documents that were found at Mar-a-Lago, but you say it's not. Instead, it's about national defense information. Explain the difference.
Okay, so the Espionage Act of 1917, which provides the legal authority for conducting this investigation and potentially charging the president, doesn't make any reference to classified documents. The classified system didn't come into play until President Harry Truman's administration in the late 1940s. So the documents that the government says Trump wrongfully kept and maneuvered around and may have hidden from the government, and the documents the government found there when they sent the FBI pursuant to a search warrant are called NDI, National Defense Information. This is what is prohibited by the Espionage Act of 1917. NDI is always and everywhere unlawful to possess for anyone, even a sitting president, outside of a secure federal facility. Mar-a-Lago is not a secure federal facility. Former President Trump's club in Bedminster, New Jersey is not a secure federal facility. The White House is. Presidential personal residences are not. So when the former president says, don't worry about it, I declassified it, that's aiming the gun at the wrong target, so to speak, from his perspective, because this has nothing to do with classified.
Could his defense team also argue that he was unaware that the documents he had in his possession were NDI?
In the federal system, the federal government must prove intent, that the defendant knew what he was doing and intended to do it. There are 2 or 3 exceptions to that, one of which is the Espionage Act. There is a provision of the Espionage Act which would allow the former president to be indicted and prosecuted and convicted by being reckless, without knowing and without intent, being reckless in the manner in which he treated the documents. However, the most recent revelation is a tape recording of President Trump purportedly discussing a document he had in his hand in July of 21 in Bedminster, referring to a document that was sent to him by the Joint Chiefs of Staff outlining a potential invasion of Iran, which of course would be national defense information. So I think the government has that issue covered, which is probably why they are finished with their investigation and they sent that target letter. They plan to ask the grand jury to indict very soon.
And does he have an argument here? You heard the former president say this equates to election interference, which is an interesting choice of words given some of the other investigations. But is it?
Well, the Justice Department will argue that it has a duty to enforce federal laws irrespective of who the defendant or a potential defendant is. The former president will say, as you just quoted him as saying, all they really want to do is prevent me from getting reelected so that I can throw them out of office. I don't think the courts will accept the election interference argument. That's a political rather than a legal one. But it works with his base. I mean, when he was indicted 2 months ago, his poll numbers shot up.